Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco Council Workshop Meeting for Monday, February 9th, 2026. The council thanks you for being a part of your city government. At workshop meetings, the council discusses issues, but no formal action is taken. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC-TV, channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and Microsoft Teams webinar. This and previous council meeting video is available on the city's website. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and/or questions by contacting the city manager, city clerk, or by using the Ask Pasco app. Madam Clerk, would you, or Madam Assistant City Manager, would you take the roll, please?
Campos.
Here.
Cotta.
Here.
Figueroa.
Present.
Hernandez.
Present.
Perales.
Here.
Milne.
Present.
Grimm.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving right ahead. Item number 4 is verbal reports from council members. Councilman Cotta.
Went to the chamber meeting today and listened to Michelle Whitney, our school superintendent of Pasco, give a keynote address to us. She's trying to get us better than the average, and she's started from far behind it, so she's getting us closer and closer. So it was an encouraging talk, and good to see the support for our Pasco schools.
Thank you. Yes. Councilman Campos.
Piggyback on for the Pasco schools. Just want to give a shout out. I didn't attend, but I did hear the news yesterday that Pasco High got the 2026 national championships for small varsity hip hop with a dance team union competition. Yeah, so let's give a round of applause for that. And this is back to back. They also won it in 2025. So let's go. Let's do it again. Let's repeat this.
All right, thank you. Yes, I was also at the chamber luncheon with you today, and also at the nonfiction ribbon cutting, joined by Councilman Perales. Yes, and also other members of city staff like our city manager and deputy city manager and others I saw there, Chief Crowley and others. If I kept going, there were a lot of faces there, a lot of community there, and just what a great investment the family is doing in our community, bringing something I think that's going to fit really well with the airport there. So really appreciated having that. Let's move on to number 5, items for discussion with opportunity for public comment. The public may comment on each topic scheduled for discussion up to 2 minutes per person with a total of 8 minutes per item. If opposing sides wish to speak, then both sides receive an equal amount of time to speak, or up to 4 minutes on each side. And I guess just as a reminder, since there's a few different topics that we will be discussing tonight, the previous council kind of before us actually instituted this. There used to not be any public comment during workshops, but those of us that were here then wanted to see more public input. So we have opened it up, because one of the things that would happen is we would discuss something within a workshop and it would go to the consent agenda, and sometimes there wouldn't even be an opportunity for the public to speak on issues. So it may feel kind of limited, but we have opened it up a lot. And of course, you can always speak during our regular council meetings too. So starting off with letter A, a presentation from the Big Bro Joe Foundation, and Ms. Sigdell is going to kick it off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my pleasure to welcome Joe Thornton, who's the founder of Big Bro Joe Foundation, who does wonderful work for our youth in not just our community in Pasco, but also in the region, and he's here to talk about the foundation. And with that, welcome, Joe.
Is it on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. First and foremost, I just want to thank you all, council, chamber, community members, Big Bro Joe support team. We all here as well. And if you don't know too much about Big Bro Joe, I'm going to give a small introduction, and I'm going to kind of deliver exactly why I came in front of you. I know a lot of familiar faces, so Leo, Mark. First of all, I am Joe Thornton. I am the founder of the Big Bro Joe Foundation. I started this organization October of 2021. and with the simple mission of empowering our youth, or mentoring our youth, and guiding our young adult males here in the Tri-Cities. At first, it was just like something I did out of straight passion, and that passion kind of ignited a fire that kind of spread throughout the community. And throughout over the years, we've had a tremendous amount of young men that comes into our program. And not only that, I'm kind of intertwined with the Juvenile Detention Center. So I used to be a Benton County Juvenile Detention Officer. I was a young kid growing up in a single parent household with a lot of sisters. I was the youngest. So living at that time was a little rough with me because I had nothing but women around me. But I was blessed and thankful for a lot of men that stepped up into my life at a very fragile time in my development that allowed me to go to college, graduate with college with 2 degrees. I played professional football. I got to travel the world. So a lot of that came from men coming into my life, from mentors, people that just gave me a helping hand along the way. So a lot of Big Bro Joe really started from that. My whole purpose was to pay it forward. And I tell everybody that I think everyone in their career and where they're at in life personally has had some type of coaching, some type of mentorship, somebody along the way to give them an extra pat on the back. And that's what makes Big Bro Joe so impactful, is that it's not just a numbers game. I know these kids. I know what they like on their cheeseburgers. I know, when they having a bad day. I've started connecting with these young men in ways where it could be me wearing a pair of Jordans, and it might spark a conversation that leads to a whole nother level of impact along the way. It's just, what are we doing to really push these young men and unlock their potential by using these small interactions to do so. So my time working with the Juvenile Detention Center, I always had a philosophy that there's no such thing as a bad kid. And I tell people all the time, because a lot of people are like, oh, you Big Bro Joe, you work with a lot of troubled youth or troubled young men. And it's totally the opposite. I work with young men who just need to be placed in the right environment in order for them to get to where they're trying to go in life. So a lot of the kids that I work with are just young men who just need some men to tell you, hey, don't go that way, or hey, let me give you some act right, and just guide them and help them. So our program is really based off 4 principles. We go by perseverance, education, manhood, and service. It's a trimester program. Perseverance, of course, exactly what it is fighting through obstacles, adversity, challenges. We talk about that. We talk about how hard it is getting up early morning for school, and talk about how hard it is to do chores around the house, whichever it is. We try to encourage them to push through a lot of adversity in their life. We do education. Education is one of our pillars, one of our principles, where we focus on financial literacy. We're teaching these young men life skills. We got Career Day coming up February the 21st. But we want to expose these young kids to a lot of different opportunities out here in the world. And then we do etiquette. We talk about how to be gentlemen, how to respect women, how to open up a door, how to don't sit with your back towards the door in a restaurant. So these are life skills and things like that not only create them into better productive citizens of Tri-Cities, but become better fathers, better husbands, better men in general. And then we kind of shift to manhood, which is accepting responsibilities for our action. That is one of our most important principles, because even at 37 years old, sometimes it's hard to accept responsibilities for your action. And it's wonderful to see, because we hold these young men to expectations. I tell everybody, Big Bro Joe is a gift in a sense. You can get removed from our program. Young men have been removed from our program. That's not the goal, but the goal is to hold them accountable, to hold them to expectations. Our kids like structure. They may not admit to it, but structure is needed in their development. So we do a 3-strike policy, and we follow this, and we hold these young men to these strikes as it may seem. So it's always unlocking them, empowering them, but then holding them accountable, and then service. I'm sure you probably heard Big Bro Joe has done probably about 136 total as of last year alone of community service. Services are one of our most important principles, whether it's helping with the City of Pasco Cable Bridge run, holding signs for the runners, whether it's helping a lady move from Prosser to Tri-Cities, whether it's holding up Happy Mother's Day signs on Columbia Center Boulevard. We teach these young men to give back and protect their community. I'm a big advocate on men protecting their families, but an extension of that is their community. If we protect our community, we do better by investing in our community. Therefore, we would protect our family. So that's the type of motto, and that's the type of principles that we lead by in Big Bro Joe Foundation. Over the last 4 years, we probably impacted over 120 young men in Tri-Cities. Our program is constantly growing, and just recently we acquired a building. And that's exactly why I came to y'all today. We acquired a building here in Pasco. 1828 Lewis Street. It's a 3,400 square foot facility. We are about to launch our Big Sis program, which is another mentorship program, Big Sis Academy, underneath the Big Bro Joe Foundation. We need support, though. We need help. The building that we're getting, we're calling it the Community Youth Hub. Now, understand, Big Bro Joe is a great organization. I love it. I'm not being biased, I promise you. But understand that the impact that I'm trying to put here in the city of Pasco alone, and Tri-Cities in general, it comes from me working as a soccer coach at Pasco High School, me going from motivational speaking. I've spoken to over 29 schools here locally. I have personally tried to put Big Bro Joe in the forefront of everything involving our youth. This Community Youth Hub can serve that purpose on a grander scale while collaborating with other local organizations who's trying to empower our youth. I always go to youth conferences or a workshop, and they just be like pocket around town. There's not a set place where we can say we can host financial literacy, we can host etiquette, we can host resume building, college prep workshops. This is a place to do so. So this is my whole objective. This is why I presented this opportunity. I wanted to get the city of Pasco behind us, because this is something that's needed in our community. I've got numerous awards, from humanitarian awards to the CBC Martin Luther King Spirit Award. That's not why I do it, though. That was just something that happened along the way. I tell everybody that all the time. I didn't sign up for it. I was a pro football player living my life. I do it because the impact that we can make collectively. I want everyone to join this force, because it's so important at this time and day and age in our community that we invest in our youth. I mean that, because the way the world is going right now, we need leaders to step up. We need our leaders to step up and show our next generation and generations after the right way to do things, by uniting, by combining forces, by bringing our powers to the table. So I, Big Bro Joe, as the boys call me, but Joe Thornton, I'm here to ask for the city of Pasco to stand with us. Our building opens up March the 1st. We will be getting our keys on February the 20th, but we need help. We need resources. We want to invite volunteers. We want to invite teachers. We should be tutoring our people straight through this youth hub. So understand, it wasn't just a Big Bro Joe initiative to get bigger. It was an opportunity for all of us to be a part of, where we can bring everyone to the table. And whether it's the NAACP Tri-Cities, Big Bro Joe Foundation, Women of Wisdom, any local organization that wants to do something with our youth, they should be able to utilize this youth hub and put on these workshops, and we should stand behind it, share and support, and get behind a force that's really going to make a huge impact, especially in Pasco. I work with a lot of kids out of Pasco. My foundation has a lot of young men from Pasco, and I think it's time that we come together collectively, all of our leaders here in the Tri-Cities. This is an opportunity to lead by example. This is an opportunity to lead and show neighboring communities and neighboring cities how we do this. And it starts with empowering our youth. I'm so thankful. I'm blessed. I feel like it's a God-given purpose of mine personally. And those who have that passion and that desire, not just myself, but other people in the community who has that passion and that fire and that desire, we need to get behind those, because that fire only lasts but so long without the help of others to keep that fuel burning. And this is an opportunity. I tell everybody, I don't sell sponsorships. I offer opportunities. This is an opportunity. That's all I'm asking for, is an opportunity to get behind something that's right around the street, right around the corner from where we standing right now, where we can do something so powerful and impactful to our youth that unlock their potential. So I know I didn't go by script, but I knew God was going to take over the mic as soon as I stepped up here, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm thankful. A lot of people may call me an outsider, but Tri-City is my home. I'm a girl dad. I got an 11-year-old who's trying to figure out and navigate things and don't understand that money doesn't grow on trees. So I have a lot on my plate as well. So it's not something that, I just do and able to do so often, but I have made sacrifices, and I think it's time for not only myself or my team, I think it's time for all of us to make a little bit of sacrifice and make a huge amount of difference. So it's a full circle, y'all, and that's the message I'm trying to tell us, is that if we invest, they invest, and we start this cycle of paying it forward that we need to instill and need to adopt as a philosophy, as a standard here in the Tri-Cities, and the city of Pasco can be the lead of that. And that's why I moved from Kennewick to city of Pasco, because I do believe that we got the right leadership, we got the right minds, and we got a force over here that needs to be reckoned with. And I think together we can do something very, very impactful. So I'm so appreciative. If you get an opportunity to look at this proposal, I'm asking for financial support. I'm asking for resources. I'm sorry. These young men that I work with, they need food. They eat. We take trips. We go out of town. I expose these young men to so many different environments. So this is an opportunity, like I said, y'all. I would love for y'all to get on board with this opportunity. If you want to learn more, bigbrojo.org. You can learn everything you need to know. We bring the Seattle Seahawks out here for a June football camp. This is an opportunity, again, where these kids won't usually get these opportunities. So there are just so many wonderful things that's happening, especially with the launch of our Big Sis Academy. I really am looking forward to that because it's a lot of young women out there who needs some mentoring, who need some fatherly figures in their lives. I'm an advocate. I seen it. I got sisters. Our dad wasn't there, so I was able to see what it means with a father or male mentor being in a young lady's life at this time. So thank you all. I'm sorry to take up too much time, but I definitely wanted to speak from the heart today. I definitely want y'all to understand that I'm coming up here to ask for y'all support. I really am. Please get an opportunity to look over this proposal. Please get an opportunity to find ways. We do a lot for our adults. It's time to start a little bit earlier, and that's starting with our youth. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you didn't go by your script and spoke from the heart. It was way better. That's my kind of preaching. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Oh, sorry, Councilman Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. I needed you to say Super Bowl winning.
Sorry about that. Super Bowl winning. They know I'm a Niners fan. That's why. There we go.
No, I've known you for a couple of years now, Joe, and you've trained my son a couple times, things like that, and a lot of those things you talked about, you've instilled in him and stuff. And so I just want to let you know that I'll be working with the council and with the city manager's office to look at either CDBG funding or allocating, a certain percentage of funds from our Parks and Rec to working with nonprofits on the outside and letting you guys do the work that you guys do. I think that's something we can do and put those dollars to good use. So I just want to let you know that.
I appreciate that, Leo. Thank you, man. That's love.
Councilman Cotter.
Do kids graduate? Is there a number of people that have gone through the program? How's it work?
So pretty much it's a trimester program. We don't have like a huge graduation. Our graduations are gala every year. We dress the young men in tuxedos and bow ties, and it's like a real dapper event, but we honor them just by doing that. I've had little bros with me since 6 years, 5 years. It's just the cycle just repeats itself. Our workshops never are duplicated. They might center around the same sort of things, but it's a revolving door of knowledge that they get through. So graduation might be something, maybe the city of Pasco can put on for us one time. But thank you. Yeah, that's what.
Thank you.
Oh, appreciate that. Couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
What kind of a permit do you have to carry around those guns you got on each of your arms there?
It's rollover. That's all I say. Football rollover days. That's it.
No, very good. No, I really appreciate your heart for young men. I mean, we probably live in the least masculine society the world has ever known, and the little bit that shows up sometimes is called toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So your ability to lift these men up, there's nothing stronger in this world than a man who has his strength under control. And I appreciate you working with these young men, growing them into men. I mean, I grew up kind of in a fatherless home too. And, thanks be to God for the men who came around me who always were Christians or whatever, but gave me the swift kick or the encouragement when I needed it. And, it's helped me get me to where I am today. So it just means the world to me what you're doing with these young men. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that, Mary. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Councilman Figueroa.
Well, thank you, Coach Joe, for this presentation. I think we go way back in some of our conversation. Thank you for choosing Pasco as your place to bring this community youth hub. We were just having conversations of how much we need that, and my heart as a coach as well, and being in the education system and all that stuff. We do need places and hubs for our young adults and even our students to be able to find some sort of purpose. I think that there's a lot of kids out there just going around not knowing what direction to go through, and I think this would be a phenomenal place to kind of realize that. Being under mentorship, I think you hit it. I'm also with that kid from the trailer park that I'm only here because of people poured into me, and so I think it's our time to pay it forward in that element. And so I'm really excited about this Big Sis Academy that you kind of started working into. I have a big heart for that. I'm the oldest of 6 and 5 younger sisters, and I think that's also an important part of having good young men. We also need good young women as well. And so I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that. You can count me for my support and whatever you need. We'll be looking forward to see what we can do at the city of Pasco. This is a great opportunity, like you said. and we don't want to pass it on. So thank you again for choosing Pasco, because I think this is a place to be. We have a lot of untapped potential, and this is one way that we can kind of support that. So yeah, we'll be in talks, and hopefully we can reach out to you for and thank you for making it very specific with the alignments of the key city priorities and just detailed outline. Like, I know that you took time to put this forward, so it was very thoughtful. So I appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you, Councilman Martin.
Thank you. 1 second, Councilman Cotta, Councilman Campos, and we'll go back to you, sir.
Just like to echo what everyone else has said. We want to say thank you so much for everything that you have done. I know sometimes when we are trying to just make a mark or an impact and really trying to invest and mentor people, sometimes questions arise. Are we being effective? Are we doing the right thing?
Right.
And I just want to tell you that you are. You're making an impact in the community, making an impact into so many people's lives, and just want to say thank you. Because I think that's one of the things that we want to achieve in Pasco is we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We want to partner with those that are already doing a fantastic job, and there's no doubt that you're already doing that community. So thank you for coming for us, and we look forward to partnering with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Back to you, Mr. Cotta.
Yeah, I'm going over some of the budget overview stuff. What are your sources of funding now?
So our sources of funding, I am a project manager. So my goal is to put on events. Majority of our funding comes from donors, like single donations, but a lot comes from our fundraising events, like bringing the Super Bowl winning champions out here. We try to find creative ways. We've gotten tapped into a few grants, but no federal funding grants or anything like that. So much red tape where we do so much. And sometimes it's hard to say we only need this amount for this when we do haircuts, when we take them for food, when we need transportation, whatever the case may be. So a lot comes from our community, a lot of local business. I'm collaborated with over 55 local business owners here in Tri-Cities. I do a really good well of talking, so they say. So it's giving us the opportunity to really get funded through those avenues, those aspects. I do have a meeting with KPD Foundation. I do meet with certain organizations and groups here in town that feeds into Big Bro Joe on an annual basis. So it's just one of those things where maybe this is the hottest year we may have, or maybe it might be the coldest year, where sometimes we have to front costs out of pocket, out of personally my pocket, or I have to sacrifice some things that I have to do personally in my life. And I'm at that point where I gotta, Matt, I'm gonna quote you on this, I got to look out for Joe too. So I'm at that phase now where I'm like, you know what, I'm doing God's work, and I hope that, you know, he sends his angels to look out for another. So
Good job.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation there, Coach Joe. I heard somebody call you that, so I was kind of curious. It sounds like you're, raising money. Do you get any kind of funding from any of the Rotary or Kiwanians in the community?
So I just became a Rotarian here last week. Yes, I am involved in some Rotary groups. I'm actually going to present at another one here coming up. That has been one of our sources as well, whether it's equipment or furniture, things of that sort. I'll let them know, the process. You got to fill out the application, ask for the grant. But yes, I am involved in a Rotary groups. I am a part of one now. So those, I'm learning. I tell people all the time, when I was 18 years old, I didn't think I was going to be the founder of a nonprofit organization. I thought I was going to play football till I was 60. Time told, pretty much. But because I've learned, I don't have many mentors in my industry. And I say that because I walk in a room and I meet directors of operation and director of supply chain, but it's never like, hey, I started a foundation from bottom and I'm going to teach you everything I need to know. I think that's the hardest thing. When I went to a next generational leadership meeting with the Tri-Cities Chamber, I walked in a room, there's a lot of young leaders, but none of them was the source, the starter, the person who ignited the flame. So it's hard when I'm out here because I got to learn by falling on my face. I got to learn by saying, oh, maybe I shouldn't have did that. So I've been able to navigate these last 4 years through a lot of trials and tribulations. There was a point in time where I didn't think Big Bro Joe was going to make it the next 2 months. And, my team can attest to that. But through that journey, I found that, sometimes you got to have that faith. And because I'm here today is strictly because I didn't lose faith. So my whole purpose is whenever I get an opportunity to step in a room with leaders, I'm going to make sure they understand the mission and the objective and the goal at hand. And then I'm going to leave it up to you. So that way I can tell God, I did what you told me. It's up to y'all. So the blame is on you, not just playing. But that's where I'm at. I have been a part of a lot of groups and more organizations. I got meetings planned up with the chief. I'm just trying to tap into, resources that I never even knew about right now at this time.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. Well, we'll let the public, thanks again for loving on the young kids and the growing men, yeah.
Oh yeah, I appreciate this opportunity, y'all. It's always a blessing. Thank y'all so much. If you have any more questions, feel free. You can email me or contact me, or just say where Coach T at. The kids will show you where I'm at. I promise you.
Appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you again. Would anybody from the public like to comment on this issue? Big Bro Joe? Yeah, step right on up.
I'll just be real quick. That I wasn't familiar with this organization.
Just step up to the mic, name and, yep, city, please.
Lori Thompson, Pasco. I just want to say real quick that I had the opportunity to raise my grandson when he was 10 years old for several years here in Pasco. And he had the opportunity to be part of a group just down the street here. I believe it was called AMOT. I could be wrong, but that was a real blessing in our lives for him to have the opportunity to have that adult male mentorship from a different perspective than what he might have gotten in my home otherwise as a single woman trying to make a living for the two of us. And I just want to say I would like to see Pasco support this in any way that they can, because it was truly a real blessing for me and my grandson. Thank
No,
you.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, no, I grew up a latchkey kid too. I know, yeah, I know something about that. Okay. Anybody else from the public like to speak for or against Mr. Thornton? Oh, let me grab Miss Wade from the back there. Come on up, Amber. You were first.
I just want to say that I really congratulate you on your work that you have done. My father had started an orphanage back in 1993 as a steel mill worker, and I had the privilege of working with the orphans. And my dad gravitated towards the women, or the ladies, because they were the ones that were suffering more. But I saw, as always, things differently, and I saw it was the men who were the next generation. And it has been my boys, my orphan boys, who have carried on my dad's legacy, and these men will carry on your legacy. Whether you see it or not, don't give up. My dad tried to do as you have done, have sacrificed everything and wanted to pay all the stamps and all of everything and wanted every penny to go to the orphans. And at one point we're like, you can't do it, Dad. You really can't. So you need to take care of yourself, and remember, even if you don't see it today, don't give up. And these boys and people that you are impacting are going to make ripples effect that you will never, maybe you will see, but maybe you will not see. And it is my orphan boys that I have been very proud of coming and saying, sister, I have graduated college. I have been a teacher now. And I really want to say congratulations to you.
I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Miss Wade. So that was two kind of four. I take it, do you want to speak in behalf of four too? Go ahead, yeah, we'll make an exception. Go right ahead, yep. Thank you. Can't imagine anybody be against what he's doing, but.
My name is Matthew Catt. I'm from Kennewick, and I actually own a auto shop in Kennewick. And Joe walked into my shop 6 years ago on a different subject, and I've believed in what he's doing ever since. When he speaks about needing to take care of himself, I have told him so many times that you can't sacrifice everything that you have for this foundation, but he really has. We have sponsored many of his events. I've tried to be at everything that he does with this foundation because he's doing amazing work. And I'm a father of 3 daughters. So for him to be stepping out and do even more to try to touch young ladies' lives, I can't say enough good things about this man. We've become really good friends, and I really want to see this foundation grow to what I think it truly can, and that's Big Bro Joe Foundation in as many cities as possible, because he's absolutely right. Like, our future is our youth, and until we latch onto them and show them the way, they're going to keep following the things that are happening in this world and latch onto those things instead. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks again. Were you for or against?
For.
Oh, no, the young lady in the back.
I just wanted to say something about my son who's in the program.
Okay, we're gonna move on though. Yep, thank you. Yes, a lot of people have spoken very highly of him, and thanks again for your work you're doing in the community. Moving on to letter B, fireworks. Ms. Sigdell, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is actually going to be jointly presented by our Fire Chief Kevin Crowley and Deputy Police Chief Brad Cook.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Appreciate this time. Tonight, again, we're going to present myself and Chief Cook on fireworks. And what it is tonight is we're just going to go over a little bit of the history, kind of what occurred in the past, where we're at now, just give you information and then open it up for questions if you have some. I know there's been some discussion in the past from our community, so we just want to provide information tonight. So a little history here. In 1996, there was a ban on all fireworks, and that ban was enacted in Pasco, Franklin County, and Kennewick. The main reason back then was there was a big influx of fires, wildland fires, some structure fires, and really the goal was to reduce that risk. And they had a time frame, so we saw that happen a couple days prior, before 4th of July, and then a little bit after 4th of July. So that ban went into effect, but it also had some challenges to actually enforce that ban. So what we saw was the goal of the ban was to reduce, of course, the number of fires and the fireworks being used. So it's a high volume of fireworks that made enforcement very impractical. Even though the ban was in place, people still got fireworks. The goal is to have the ban and to have people then in the community just not use them. But we found that people going outside the community, still buying fireworks, still bringing them into Pasco, setting them off. And so we didn't really see the goal that we wanted to occur with that ban. So then, as we saw through this time, and then in 2018, the ban was lifted. So during that time from 1996 to 2018, we saw a lot of growth in the community. And a lot of that, what we saw was building on open land, vacant land that we saw a lot of from the fire side. That's what we would see. People setting off fireworks in a field, catching the field on fire. Maybe that would go into a home or a structure. So, but with that, we saw large development. We saw a lot of the building codes change, more fire-resistant structures occurring. And so the ban was actually lifted. And then what they did was they allowed the consumer or a community to go ahead and purchase fireworks, but what they call safe and sane. And so what safe and sane fireworks are is everything that stays on the ground. So anything that goes aerial or explodes was still banned. We still to this day do not allow those. But again, what we do see is people buying them from outside the area, and all the aerials are coming in. So that was the idea of lifting the ban, having people come in, be able to celebrate Independence Day in a safe manner.
Good. So currently, the aerial fireworks are still on a ban and are illegal, and that remains in place. Enforcement limitations continue. The call volume on the 4th of July increases by about 60% or just over that a little bit. So there's a lot of calls coming in during that time, and we have 3 events also occur in Pasco during that day. So those limitations are real. There's a lot of public concern surrounding post-traumatic stress disorder, the environmental issues, obviously with the fires, the safety to property, and of course animals and their reaction to fireworks when they go off. Our crime analyst put this together for us. It's a 13-year fireworks stats, which gives you a good look at what happened over that 13-year span from 2013 to 2025. Generally speaking, since the 2018-19 area there, calls have been dropping, and it's about a 57% drop overall over that time frame. I think that's about it on there. So you can see the 2025 calls for service were the lowest that they've been, I think, on the entire graph. Our level of staffing, I think, for fire is up. The police department has what we would kind of consider as a blackout date, so we don't allow time off during that day. The shifts are fully staffed during that time, and we're handling those 3 events. The parade in the morning, we have Giza Stadium going, and we also have the River Fire, which is done by Kennewick, but we have the Pasco Park that we're dealing with. And there is a bi-county incident management plan that is put in place, and fire is using that. And the PD would be brought in if we needed to help them on that. The ban on all fireworks, if we're going to do some policy discussion, the ban on all fireworks is certainly an option. Enforcement will still have challenges for that day. Allowing all fireworks could increase unsafe usage. So if we allowed aerial fireworks and made those legal, that could increase their usage. And we could continue the policy as it is. And I think discussing other public safety things is appropriate for this discussion with our community. Do you have any questions for either the chief or I?
Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I know I've taken this issue very seriously for the 8 years I've been on city council. I was one of the ones that voted to lift the ban as far as on the, as you call the regular little fireworks, the ones that stay on the ground. I will say that riding with the Pasco Police Department every year, it's been phenomenally challenged. Never once have I actually been able to be with an officer and we actually gave somebody a ticket. There were so many times where we'd get there, we'd see the stuff going off, we'd turn around the corner and he would have like the lights off. I mean, try to do anything kind of sneaky, and the chairs would still be in the streets, drinks would still be there, everybody was gone. I mean, we were actually shocked time and time again. So I will say it's really phenomenally hard to catch somebody doing it, which was really frustrating because I thought we were going to give like a whole bunch of tickets, and it was one after the other. I don't know if they have spotters or how they're able to see Pasco PD coming up on them, but never once. And then the other time, which I know we had a problem this last year, was I think because of overtime things, the city of Pasco was trying to cut down on cost. So we only had so many police department or police officers on the road, and we would get calls for other things. So I was hoping to see them even talk about fireworks, but we were called for domestic violence. We were called for this issue. Then we're drunk driving, people tearing out of the road. So it's actually kind of amazing when you look at it, all the different issues that were coming up, priority, and then you look at fireworks, and then we were even still getting calls people that kids had sparklers. People were adamant they're mad at their neighbor kids by sparklers, and the officer was trying to tell this lady, this is legit, that's not a problem, but she was adamant that her tax dollars and we needed to spend time at her residence telling the little kids they couldn't have sparklers. So I do agree with everything you're saying. I do agree it's a problem if you have dogs, like my wife, myself, we have dogs and all that kind of stuff, but it's so hard when you actually go out with the police department and you see the issues, and it just seems like all these other things are priority, and yet you're there that night, you're spending your 4th of July traveling with you guys, and it's so, unless you just really doubled the budget that night or had just a ton of officers, I would like to know if you have any other way that you could actually catch people, because we never did, and we were spending 3 to 4 hours on 4th of July night trying to catch people, but it was, I don't know, again, it seemed almost impossible. So just kind of curious if there's any way, but it just seems like the citizens are very sneaky when it comes to shooting the aerials and then running or getting out of the way. And so that was my take, but I would recommend the council, if you want to spend your 4th of July, going out with Pasco PD and seeing what's really happening on the roads. And again, it's always been an eye-opener, but it's kind of an interesting evening, to say the least. I don't know if that helps or not, but I think that's a more realistic approach, that it's really hard unless you spend big bucks and you really had to undercover people, but I don't know how you would do that really.
And I don't have anything up my sleeve that would fix that issue. Pasco is a very busy town on that day, given all the events that we have going and the busy volume that's coming through the dispatch center. It has its limitations, and I hope that's what we're describing, is there's just some limitations there that we're dealing with.
Thank you, Councilmember Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you go back to that stat slide? Do you think it'd be fair to say that, I know we're trying to say that it's gone down since 2018, 2019, but would you say it's fair that it's gone down because people call and then there's nothing you guys can do, so they just don't bother calling anymore? Because that's, to me, I think that would be the answer, not necessarily it's just been going down. I think, because I do hear that frustration from residents that there's no reason to call, they're not going to do anything anyways. So it's just going to go down probably. Which, I mean, do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think the numbers are the numbers?
I think a fair assessment would be that it is difficult to do the enforcement piece of it. Generally speaking, it has to occur in the presence of a police officer. There is another avenue to do that. Some of the chilling effect of that is if somebody does call and they're the witness. So say Chief Crowley witnessed the incident happen. I could take a statement from him about the suspect, who's probably his neighbor, and he would have to come to court. And I know for a fact, after talking with the prosecutor about these cases, that it is difficult for him to get at a later time those neighbors to come in and stand up in court and say, I saw him light off the fireworks next door to me, and then I have to live with him. And so there could be some chilling effect from just the reality of that's the other way you have to do it, other than a policeman observing it happening in person. And there is no other really way to do that. So that may have some of the effect on it. And obviously they're feeling the same thing that the councilman felt, is it is just difficult to be right there while he's lighting off those fireworks.
Right. No, I agree. The enforcement side, it is hard. I mean, the court system's backed up. I mean, I heard that it takes 6 months to a year to review some complaints. So I understand that. But, I've done some research, and I mean, places like Seattle, Tacoma, Mount Vernon, I mean, they have ordinances on the books that doesn't require an officer to see it directly. I don't know if we can do that in tandem with like a noise ordinance, because I know our noise ordinance requires a decibel and all this stuff, decibel readings. But there's different laws in all our cities. And, I think we need to look at that. We need to look at a policy that we can use, that we can enforce. Because when I'm reading, there is places that they enforce it without without actually viewing it. And a lot of times it is kind of a code enforcement issue. It's fines. But like I looked at Kent for like a noise ordinance, a couple of fines, and then they'd actually do some jail time. So I think we need to look outside of the city of Pasco, the Tri-Cities, and look at different places. And to me, that would be my recommendation, is really do a deep dive on the policies, have our city attorney vet it, and just really starting enforcing this stuff. Because you see the comments, when you say, we talk about this, oh, if you don't like fireworks, Leo, move out of the country or something, you don't like America. It's like, no, it's not that. It's just, it's quality of life issue. I have dogs. My daughter, she was born on the 4th of July. She does not like fireworks. So it's just, we need to look out for everyone. And so I think there's a policy out there. And so, I just want to be able to work on that. And so I don't want to outright ban, but I think there's a policy out there that if it's possible, look into these other places and just try and throw something at the wall and see what can stick, and then come back in a year and look at how that enforcement did. So, thank you.
Councilmember Campos.
Yeah, you answered some of that, because that was just kind of like my understanding. Like, okay, the officer has to absolutely see it to cite somebody. And I was just going to ask, is there some other alternatives? And I was just thinking, like, I know maybe people don't want to be that eyewitness, but does video come in play? Pictures,
Sure.
Physical evidence, could that be used as well?
Potentially, it could bolster it. I think it's important to remember that if you're being accused of a crime, particularly, it has to be. I have to prove it's you that did that. There could be some code things, but I'm not familiar with how to answer that without doing some research.
Okay, it's just very hard. I mean, I think that no matter what ordinance we put in or whatever, I think it's just going to still come back to the enforcement piece.
Yeah.
And so we got to figure that out. I mean, we could ban or not or whatever it is, but it doesn't solve the issue of the enforcement. And so I agree with Leo. Like, let's look at some other places and see if they've figured it out, and then go from there. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Cotton.
On the enforcement issue, I mean, you see fireworks go up, you show up, and nobody's there. I mean, are you able to ask questions? Is there no? I mean, have you never cited anyone for this violation?
No, we have criminal cases that go through.
How many a year, or how many on the
I'd have
4th?
to look that up.
Well, I'm just kind of asking for a round number, just so I know the.
We have there's a less than a handful probably every year that we get charged.
Okay. So at least there's something.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't mind.
Sure.
The policemen are not against citing or making people follow the rules for sure. It is the struggle of dealing with the calls for service and prioritizing, and I think that word is really important. There are a lot of priority calls coming in during that time, and that the fireworks just take a lower priority. It's not that they're not important to somebody, because we know that they are important to the person who's calling for sure.
And the suggestion for looking at what some alternative cities are doing or alternative ordinances, have you seen any of those that you think would be applicable here?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, my reaction to why the fireworks, why the calls are going down, I think people, I mean, we all run in our circles and, we all got fireworks and all that kind of stuff. I think people have less disposable income. That's why I think it went down. But anyway, there you go.
That very well may be.
Thank you. Councilman Figueroa.
Yes. I think, at least from my perspective, it's less about banning fireworks and more so just about balancing, celebrating, safety and respect for neighbors. I mean, last night we heard a couple of people were celebrating the Super Bowl champions, which was Seattle Seahawks, right? So I think the context does matter in this element. So is there any data that we've collected in a sense of maybe heat maps or specific districts or neighborhoods that are getting the most high calls, and maybe we can begin to look at what would be a good way to navigate? Is there anything like that, a possibility perhaps?
I have seen those, and we produce those every year for our patrol officers. Okay. Our crime analyst does take all that data and put it on there. I'll be honest with you, the map doesn't show a hot spot.
Okay.
The city of Pasco has a lot of fireworks calls.
And then another part, kind of talking about solutions perhaps, do you foresee having designated areas for a time allotted? Would that be something that could help out in this situation. I'm again trying to think outside the box of different solutions, right? Because I do know that enforcement is extremely hard for this, and again, going back to the priority calls in such given time, would that maybe in your experience and would that be helpful?
It potentially could be. I think West Richland has some designated areas. Pasco's strategy has really been trying to focus on education and the promotion of the fireworks that we do have going. Both of those shows, the one on the river, and especially the Pasco one at Giza, is a very nice show to go to, and it should be the alternative that our citizens are going to instead of lighting off their own illegal fireworks.
Thank you, and I do again. I don't want to disregard the effects it has, right, on a lot of our residents, like the veterans and PTSD folks and pet owners and kids. So I don't want to disregard that, but I think that we can come to a consensus, kind of a middle ground, right, where we can still celebrate, have safety, and respect for our neighbors. So what that solution might be, I think that's where we gotta put our heads together and find something that will be that middle ground.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So there was times when, and it always seemed to be in Leo's district, where it seemed like the people were really blasting them off. I mean, sometimes it seemed like they were going head to head with the Giza Stadium fireworks. But I will say that they were, again, by far the sneakiest, because again, you would see chairs, everything out, and nobody. I mean, again, we never even saw anybody running. It was just totally abandonment. But I will say, Pasco PD, there was times where he like doused stuff so they couldn't use it again. So I will say, I did see the officer trying to mitigate it, but it seemed like once we left, then you would see him go right back on. So I mean, it was just this cat and mouse thing where we were getting calls. We were trying to hit every place that was calling, but it just seemed like, and then there would be somebody tearing down Burton or some other street, and then we'd have to go down there. So I'm saying unless you've actually traveled with Pasco PD for 3-4 hours, it seems easy. I do want to have a solution. Just traveling with your officers, I don't know what it is, because it just seemed like we were totally understaffed and so many calls coming in. And when we got out there, nobody was there. And there was even times where we were just seeing the stuff, and by the time we turned a couple corners, again, everybody was gone. I was actually in total shock that we never caught one single person that night, but the officers really were trying. I mean, I could see that their dedication to try to stop it and force it. So I will say you guys are doing a great job with the limited officers that were out there, but it was really frustrating to see this stuff going off, not be able to catch them, or be called away for another like alcoholism or domestic issue that was happening. So just want to say I think you guys are doing a good job. If there's a solution, I'm all for it, but I don't know really what that is, especially considering that Pasco PD had asked us to drop the ban because there were so many other smaller instances that the police department was having to fight. So they said, we would like to go after the people that are shooting the aerials, the people that are really making it hectic for people that have PSD and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's so difficult when you only have so many officers, so much money, and the people really know what they're doing as far as that want to shoot them off. So again, I do think you guys are doing a good job. I'm open to any suggestions if there could be.
I appreciate that. The Pasco officers are really good problem solvers. I am sure they're being very safe while they're being sneaky and driving with no headlights on. Yeah, they have a lot of try and a desire to do what we're doing.
No, thank you. I appreciate the comments and just the discussion. To me, there's a couple different issues going on. One is obviously the chaos that breaks out on the 4th of July, and it's really tough to curtail. But just even last night, the councilman brought up the blast all of a sudden going off during the Seahawks game, and I think that's where we hear a lot of feedback too. It's, they could kind of drug up their animals for, the one night of the 4th, and then it's all this kind of stuff out of the blue. Maybe they're not even football fans. And so, I don't want to, come across as just like we're helpless up here or anything like that. But is there anything we can really do for those kind of situations like that?
I think we need to focus on education, and perhaps we need to as a city, we could put out more reminders that these celebrations that are happening, whether you win the Super Bowl or 4th of July, New Year's Eve. We see an increase in those things, and to just help our people understand what the safe thing to do is with their pets during that time. If there are military people that are struggling, to make sure that they have the resources that they need, and just promote our show that we have for the city, because it is being done safe. It may be causing some of those things in that neighborhood too, but it is certainly a safe environment up there. So.
No, and I appreciate that. You know, there's like so many different discussions that, you know, trying to find that balance between encroaching on people's liberty, but encroaching on the other people's liberty to live a quiet and peaceable life too at the same time. And so, you know, it does sound like we want to continue having this discussion and, you know, look for some middle ground on it. And so, yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Thank
I
you for
look
your
forward
work on this.
if anybody does want to come for a ride on that night or another night, work with staff.
Okay.
If I could have one more
Yes,
minute.
please. Yep.
So we talk a lot about the enforcement, right, and everything, and that's a big part of the conversation. But I do want to touch on the great work law does with also fire. And so you mentioned something, Mr. Mayor, about the chaos of the night. And so just so you guys are aware that we do plan for it. And so we understand this is going to be a big night. And if there's big things coming up, we do plan. So I want to give you a little bit of background on what we do to really ensure our public is safe. Though a lot of fireworks are going off and we might not be able to control every single firework that happens, we do work with our region. So right now our dispatch center, they dispatch for fire both Benton and Franklin counties. And so when it comes to these big nights, we separate them out. So we have a dispatcher for each county. And then we also work with the region, all the different departments. So the 3 municipalities work with the districts. And we break up the areas into zones. And so we actually staff for it, and we do what's called a Cat 4 dispatch. And what that is if we have a smoke scare, we call it, or we see smoke in the air or someone calls, we'll dispatch as one unit, which is a lot less than we normally dispatch, and have that almost as a rover. And they're going around and hitting all these low acuity calls and keeping our main reserves or main apparatus in place to go on, because we know the second and third call is going to happen. And we also know we have EMS calls. So we have those ready to go. And so we do dispatch appropriately. We do are aware of it. We staff all of our units the way it needs to be. And we work as a community, and even both in all the different cities, and we help each other out. So again, number one concern is making sure our public and our communities are safe. So we do plan for that. So again, you mentioned chaos, but we do manage the chaos.
No, I appreciate that. No, and I think one of the gentlemen to my right mentioned, you know, just as far as doubling the budget. And I know even if we doubled the police budget, that's still not enough human beings to, you know, I'm sure get everybody around. And then you mentioned the prosecutorial piece too, which I look at all the unfunded mandates from the state that, you know, just talk about the priority of what the prosecutor can actually spend the time going after and, you know, spending their limited resources on. And I know that's really frustrating for the people who, you know, are inordinately affected by this, either by their past trauma serving our great country or, you know, having pets. But yeah, I know it's really frustrating for them to hear at the same time. So appreciate everybody all coming together and trying to figure this out, though. That's I think, our best path forward is when we all continue talking about it and try to find a plan and
All right, thank you.
Cool, thank you. Well, we'll open this up for the public. Take a couple comments for fireworks and a couple comments against fireworks.
Lori Thompson, Pasco. I have a whole thing here, but I want to address some of the things that have been discussed. The drop in the calls, I believe that I'm a bit of a voice of the community, as I have been following this for some time, and it is, I call, nothing happens. I think that would be a good reason for the drop in calls that we see that people the last few years have just thrown up their hands, just as they're not here. They'll talk about it other places, but they're not here because they are perhaps more enlightened than I, that there's no sense in trying because they're not going to do anything. I think that's sad, and I would like to think that's really not the case. I want to stress again the importance of respecting our veterans that have fought in foreign wars for this country. We need to fight for them. They can't have a counselor on hand when Jesse has a birthday, May 18th, and they set off 14 fireworks unannounced. They can't have, why should we dope up? Why should we dope our animals? Because those kinds of fireworks are illegal already. Why should we have to accommodate criminals? I mean, in essence, they are criminals. So, yeah, we probably can't go cite them. I get that. We can, however, take down, make note of the address and go talk to them perhaps the next day. I do believe that we could employ our fancy new drones, which I'm just so happy that we do have for lots of reasons. But those do have capabilities of taking photos from the air and attaching a GPS location to them. I'd like to see that employed. I understand the frustration of how do we enforce it. I honestly don't know either. Except that we need to talk to people, put a little fear in them, maybe. Would love to catch someone. We need to change our ordinances. We need to talk to the other cities that do have a handle on the situation, see what they're doing, learn from that, and employ, try anything, get serious, try anything, get outside the box, get creative. We got to do something, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
This is Mallory, and he is already stressed out, let alone trying to get through this. So, okay, before we debate fireworks, as a tradition, I would like to ask if anybody of you have spent 4th of July in a VA medical center with VA medical, not only ICU, but hospital and nursing homes, year after year. 12-hour shifts. I would like a raise of hand of anybody who has been with a veteran over the 4th of July. For veterans, it is not a celebration. It is reliving combat. Mallory here is with me tonight, and he is already stressed just being in this room. Now, and I have taught him to be with fireworks since he was very young. He's 11 and he's getting stressed out already. So putting on top of that fireworks that I drug him, I put loud music on, and I do whatever I can to protect my animal. But veterans with PTSD relive trauma. Children with sensory situations shut down. We're talking about sparklers, which I believe you on the city council members are even promoting selling fireworks here in the Tri-Cities at the Hapo Center. The sparklers burn up to 2,000 degrees. Thousands of firework injuries are treated as emergency rooms by children. You are giving children these very dangerous fireworks that look pretty, but they are not. And if a firework goes off in my mobile home park, who's paying for it? I've worked collections for many years, nearly a decade. If my neighbor burns down my house, I get a judgment. So what? What happens? They have no money. They're judgment proof. So I have no home, and nothing happens. So it is us who, my animals, the veterans, the poor, And there is no, like we have talked before, we're not talking to the police about
You can
things.
wrap up, Miss Wade, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're not going to, because you don't listen to us. So we don't call regarding major situations.
Thank you. Take a couple comments for fireworks, if anyone is so inclined to do so. Going once, going twice. Okay, we will move on, and we are going to talk about signs, I believe. This letter C, introduction of ordinance code amendment allowing sandwich board signs within the downtown Pasco overlay district, CA 2025-002, and this is Miss Matson. Good evening.
Good evening, and I will be passing off the initial presentation to our planner 3, Ivan Barragon, and he'll be up there, and I'll be happy to assist answering questions at the end. So turn it over to Ivan.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As Haley mentioned, I'm Ivan Barragan, Planner 3. I'm here to introduce a proposed code amendment that would allow sandwich board signs in the right-of-way within the downtown Pasco overlay district. During this presentation, I'll walk you through the objective of the amendment, the legislative process and timeline, key points illustrated with a Pasco Municipal Code visual, and a map of the downtown Pasco overlay district for context. The purpose of this code amendment is to allow sandwich board signs in the right-of-way within the downtown Pasco overlay district under regulated conditions. Currently, such signs are prohibited under Pasco Municipal Code 17.15.040, number 3. This amendment follows a standard legislative process. A public hearing is held by either the Planning Commission or City Council, followed by a recommendation to Council. Staff prepares a written recommendation and draft ordinance for consideration. Council may request additional review or holds its own public hearing if desired. For this amendment, the public hearing was held with the Planning Commission rather than directly with Council. A Planning Commission workshop was held on December 18, 2025, followed by a public hearing on January 15, 2026. Tonight, we are holding a workshop with you, and at next week's regular meeting, we anticipate a formal motion for the ordinance. In this visual, you'll see a summary of the proposed amendment and its regulations within the right-of-way. No public comments were received during the formal comment period, though a few comments were received earlier today, which I'll address shortly. During the Planning Commission review, one commissioner suggested adding weighted language to the ordinance, which has been incorporated. Finally, the ordinance was reviewed by our legal team, and the liability section was updated based on the recommendations. The amendment would apply to the area shown in pink, included all areas within that boundary. City Council consideration is anticipated next week, although timing may shift depending on discussion of today's comments. As it stands at next week's meeting, Council may choose to take no action, allow signs in the right-of-way without regulation not recommended, expand the allowance citywide. Staff received comments from downtown business owners who were generally supportive of the proposed sandwich board sign amendment and appreciative of the city's effort to reduce barriers for small businesses. The feedback focused on adding flexibility, including sign placement, sign quantity, corner standards, liability language, and awning clearance. While staff appreciates the input, we do not recommend allowing off-site advertising, as that would conflict with existing sign regulations and could lead to sign clutter downtown. We also recommend maintaining the one sign per business standard and corner placement requirements to support safety and consistency in the public right-of-way. The indemnification provision was reviewed by our legal team today, who advised that this language is necessary and consistent with another section of Pasco Municipal Code 5.35.180, number 1, letter A. There was a comment regarding the awning clearings. Staff received that feedback late and would appreciate additional time to review best practices and return this with more information if council desires. Overall, staff believes the amendment strikes a reasonable balance between flexibility for businesses and public safety. Thank you again for the opportunity to present. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and my director may also provide input as needed.
Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate it. Yes, and thanks for bringing up Mr. Gramboy and Mr. Maloney's additions. I think they're excellent additions to the conversation. I appreciate you guys reacting to those two and trying to implement them all, but it sounds like just the one there. We'll start with Councilmember Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a question for staff and then a couple comments. What's the reasoning behind just one sign? Because I believe, two would probably be better for a lot of businesses. They could put it out a little further, along the guidelines that we're proposing here. But what's the reasoning behind the one sign?
So I believe the reasoning is to avoid visual clutter, and we currently have a code section that makes it almost impossible to have off-premises signs.
So you were considering on premises within kind of the frontage of their
Right.
business. So what if they had two within that area in front of their business?
I would say we could limit them for one for each parcel, because there's language in there that also includes if you don't have a building, then it's limited by that area. So I would say they could have two in that case, if there's two parcels.
So this amendment was narrow in scope. So what type of other language would we need to propose for off-site signage then? That's something we could look into.
We could certainly look into it, but I don't think we'd want to recommend that. Haley?
Yeah, and I'm happy to jump in, and I've worked on sign codes for 15 years now. I think between 3 different cities, and this comes up every time. And I 100% appreciate your comments and the comments from the business owners downtown. To answer your first question, Ivan did a great job explaining it. I just wanted to add a little bit more to his response. So we certainly could, as a policy, allow 2 sandwich board signs in front of each business. Some businesses do have smaller frontage, so it is mainly like a sign blight reasoning why we're only allowing 1. And I can tell you, based on experience, the max signage allowed, or even outside of that, most businesses would prefer to do that. And what I've seen is when you open it up, you will see 2 signs per business in most cases. So if that's how we want downtown to look, where every business has 2 signs, we can certainly look into it. A lot of cities don't, go to that as the first step, just because then the public starts complaining that there's too many signs and it becomes sign blight. When you drive on the west side through Tacoma, you see all the billboards. I know it's a different example, but there are some cities that do allow just unlimited signage, basically. So, where does it stop, I guess, is where we're looking at it from a land use perspective. So that's why we've recommended 1 sign per business, so that it's not multiple signs. If a business has a really large frontage, maybe 100 feet or more, maybe it does make sense to have 2 signs, but then the smaller businesses feel that's not fair proportionately. So as a rule of practice, that's why we're recommending 2. Like I said, total policy decision. I think it would be a little more difficult to regulate, just because then you're going to have a lot of signs tripping over each other as far as the ADA requirements, but certainly can follow council's direction. And then the second comment, off-site signage. And there were comments submitted earlier today about businesses located like around corners where you can't really see them from the street. And then the specific example from the little wine shop. I did appreciate the follow-up photo that the business owner sent, and I can't share it with you. I can forward you the email to look at in advance of the regular meeting. But it's the green building, and it has a building overhang that's a little bit lower. So when there's cars parked in front of that business, and with the overhang, you can't see the signage from the street. So that is a real issue for businesses, visibility and signage. But I don't know if I have a good sound land use solution that allows every business in the entire city to have signs visible from every angle without creating more sign blight. So I haven't really found a city that has come up with a good solution for it. I think you just, establish a rule and it works for hopefully most businesses, but not all businesses will benefit from it. So offsite signage, if you were to allow it for downtown, only, that could be an option too. If you did open it up citywide, what I found is like there's a lot of stores who start putting signs off-site, and then the public complains there's signs everywhere, and you just can't even comprehend what's going on because of the amount of signage. So that's where we're coming from. I understand the business's standpoint and appreciate it. I'd probably be saying the same thing if I owned a business downtown. You definitely want visibility, but I'm also looking at it from a different angle of of sign clutter, which we do get complaints about from the public, or I have at previous cities.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys working on this, and I'll dive into my comments. So, I'm not saying it's the only basis, but the basis, we talked about regulations. The basis kind of why we're seeing this, from what I'm seeing, is on back in November, I made a complaint on a downtown business. Because there's certain things I remember from my time being in the community, and I knew that sandwich board signs were not allowed. And so when I saw that, I'm like, well, what's up with that? And so we went back and forth, and then we had a one-on-one, and that kind of spurred this, and I appreciate you guys working on it. It was quite a surprise to me when you guys brought it to the planning commission and stuff like that, and that's kind of where, and I, again, the reason why was because back during the COVID time, I'm trying to watch my words closely here. The city of Pasco was giving a lot of businesses in downtown a hard time. And there's a news article right here from the Tri-City Journal of Business titled "Old Buildings Pose Costly Challenges to Downtown Pasco Business Owners." And I'll just read a little quote from there. It was an individual who had a business down there, and she plowed a lot of money into that business. She ran up against countless limitations in the C2 zoning immediately, and then she later learned she could not put a sandwich board to advertise on the sidewalk or put bistro tables outside, and she had pleaded with the city to relax the rules and changes to the zone. So I just want to give a background on that to people out there who look at this and like, what's the problem with the signs? I just want to let you know that, sometimes change takes time, and I just want to say thank you to the staff. This is a positive thing that came out of this. Sometimes we have ordinances on the books that aren't right, but again, I just want to continue us making these small policy reforms because, at one point we were going down there and telling people to take down their signs. And so to me, this is a big improvement, and I look forward to working with any downtown business owners who want to do awning signs, what have you. Let us know what you guys want to do, and we can look into our policy toolkit here and tailor it to the downtown community. So again, just want to let people out there know that positive things are coming from our CD department. So again, thank you to our staff. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else on council have any thoughts? Oh, yes, Councilmember Hernandez.
Why did a complaint need to be made?
I made a complaint because I knew it was against our rules, and when I went to my one-on-one with the city manager, I go, I know they're not supposed to be up. We need to change that. That's the reason why I made the complaint.
Well, couldn't you just go directly to the city staff?
Well, this was a broader effort for the whole downtown. So, well, I can say there's the only reason, but the reason why we're seeing this is because I made a complaint and said, I don't like that. We need to change it, and that's what we're doing. So that's what kind of got it in motion, was me making a complaint. They went down there and talked to them, but we're seeing this change because of a complaint I made to poke the bear, say that I don't like this policy. We need to change it. So that's what I did. So they're putting the signs up, and now we're going to hopefully codify this so there's no issues anymore. Because beforehand we were going down and tell people to fold up their signs. There's an article right here, it says it plainly right here, and I know that for a fact because.
Yeah, but to me, making a complaint against some business is not something you do.
If you want to affect a policy change, yeah, that's what I did.
Just go to the staff and say, hey, let's go to council.
That's what we did. We went to staff. This went to staff.
With a complaint.
Yeah, with a complaint.
So you guys, with that real quick, let's go to staff. Yeah. Mr. Stewart actually was a second quicker than Councilman Hernandez. City Manager Stewart.
No, I appreciate the conversation, and when it was brought to my attention, I've been through this conversation before. Downtowns are unique. A lot of times they were built many years ago, back when street designs and city planning and layouts were different. And so you typically don't have as much, adaptability in your downtown areas as you do in, say, like new construction areas or in some of our newer modernized planning. And so it makes it a challenge. But having dealt with many communities with downtowns and this being an issue where signage is limited, sandwich signs was a process that we began to potentially implement. And so when the complaint came forward, I felt that this was an area that we could loosen up a little bit and make it less restrictive, because that has been done in many other communities. So that's what kind of prompted a lot of this conversation, and I appreciate it being brought to our attention. Just a couple of comments real quick about on-site, off-site, visibility, those kinds of things. in my opinion, going through this conversation several times over the years in several different communities, sandwich signs or A-frame signs are, particularly in downtowns, are most effective with your pedestrian traffic, not your vehicular traffic. And because they're usually in downtown areas, and I would echo the comments made by Director Mattson on this with regards to sign blight, and we don't want to loosen up one restriction and create other complaints and problems, which is what I think staff is trying to find a balance here on. But again, A-frame signs are typically more for your pedestrian, and in downtown it makes sense because you're going to park your car and hopefully start walking around downtown. And these A-frame signs are supposed to help attract your attention to enter that store that it's in front of to go look at. It isn't real effective when, I mean, it can get some attention of cars as they're driving by, but that's not its intent. That's more like a side benefit of A-frame signs. And then they're usually limited in size and scope, and it's hard to get an A-frame sign to be very visible from a long distance away, which again makes them more beneficial to your pedestrian-friendly traffic. As far as off-site, you run into a couple of challenges there in my experience. One is, surprise, surprise, not all business owners get along, and some can become very competitive. So you don't want Harold's Burger Shop putting up his sign off-site in front of Kevin's Burger Shop, trying to direct customers from entering his store to go into mine. And I don't think the city wants to be in the middle of that. And so typically the simpler solution is you're allowed to put up a sign, but it has to be on your property in front of your business. Otherwise, if we begin to allow off-site signs, and we'll get away from the business versus business component, and assuming that you're allowing it in city right-of-way, well, some city right-of-way is more of a premium than others. And so how do you delineate who gets the most premium spot, right? And those kinds of things. Or what happens when it gets damaged and it gets blown down in a storm and those kinds of things. Off-site or off-premise signs have significant challenges to them, as well as blight and those kinds of things, which is why I do believe that the recommendation staff has given so far it is a good balanced approach. My recommendation is let's try it with what we have. We can come back and reevaluate in 6 months to 12 months. If we want to allow more than one sign at that point, we can. But I think first and foremost, we need to make sure we get this right from the beginning, that we're not impacting public safety, and that we're not having negative consequences from this that were unintended. So.
Thank you. Mr. Ivan, if I can just ask a couple follow-up questions, just to make sure I read through all this and everything. There's no permit cost to the business owners, is there?
No.
No, and there's no permit process they have to fill out or anything like that,
No.
right? They're just free to put out a sign as long as it follows the code, correct?
Right.
Okay. And I appreciate City Manager Stewart's, some of his comments kind of made me rethink, because one of the first things when I looked at all this is, why are we just limiting it in the downtown? You know, why shouldn't anybody be allowed to, in other strip malls put up a sign? And I appreciate the comments, because I kind of started to imagine myself walking in downtown areas. And yeah, the A-frame signs are going to primarily be for pedestrians, but at the same time, I guess that's something that, I think could definitely be baked into the cake is, why couldn't this be elsewhere? I think of, just some of the strip malls in West Pasco or whatever. I'm sure they would want to, take advantage of something like that if they could. And then, even if we try it, one of the things I thought of, and I appreciate all those comments as far as, no off-premises sites signs, because it is kind of hard to maintain, and sometimes we just even forget whose they are. You get into the competitive. But I was just thinking about, like, if somebody has a corner lot, though, maybe it's on a prime intersection like Lewis and 4th or something like that. I mean, they may want one on Lewis and on 4th, and so whether it be part of this discussion or one down the road, I think those are the kinds of things we should definitely consider. But it's kind of what I got. Guys all through? Councilman Hernandez.
I have a question, comment. I don't understand why there had to be a complaint made in order for code to be changed against a business. That just seems like it's weaponizing the code enforcement to me. Why couldn't we just work with the businesses to change code enforcement instead of making an actual complaint against the business?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
please.
At the end of the day, I mean, how people choose to bring this to our attention is their choice. When it was brought to staff's attention, I didn't feel it was appropriate to necessarily go down and just, make everyone take up their A-frame signs. I think we gave some direction to staff to go and encourage the business owners to put it in front of their property and those kinds of things while we tried to work through and bring this ordinance change through to make it allowable. But at the end of the day, that has kind of been the old school method of how you change government is you make a complaint and apply pressure and then it changes. Not that I agree with you that that may not always be necessary, but that is one way to get government's attention. I mean, we talked about fireworks today, and it wasn't brought up, but we talk about speeding on Court Street. What do we tell them? Well, call and complain every time you see it, right? Because that increases the data points and that makes it more noticeable. And so we've kind of taught and ingrained our citizens that if you see something wrong, you call and complain about it. If it's against ordinance. And at this time, sandwich signs are against ordinance. And so they did what we normally direct citizens to do, and they called and complained.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Ivan. I'm going to open it up for the public now to see, take a couple of comments for and against signs. Mr. Maloney, see your hand back there. Our former Mayor Pro Tem. Step right on up, sir.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you very much for moving forward on this and bring this forward. I do appreciate, though I do take some offense at being the businesses targeted on this when we have specialty kitchen clients that have had sandwich board signs out for far longer than me, and then have received no complaints. That is unfortunate that someone chose to target me instead of talking to city clients with contracts with the city instead first. So I'm here in favor of speaking for this amendment. I think there's a good thing in general, but as you saw, hopefully it's on the email I sent you, there's some material changes that I think would be really make this a lot better. The goal of this, right, is to get out of the way of businesses being able to do what they need to be successful. And there's I think some of the changes I suggested were pretty common sense. Unfortunately, as you heard, staff is recommending full rejection of any comments from the downtown businesses. So again, about a dozen businesses I spoke with, and staff out of hand is immediately rejecting all of them. That feels like you're not trying to help us, you're trying to help at us. We'd really prefer more of a partnership approach. So what we're asking is pretty simple. Remove the arbitrary restrictions that you're seeing in there. Let us manage our stuff. Look, I'm not going to put 10 signs in front of my business. That's going to cost me like $4,000 and you're not going to be able to see any of them. Why? At what time would I want to do that? Like, why would I want to spend my money and why would I want to build that sort of environment? Look, I want downtown to be beautiful. Every day I work, I go outside and I pick up trash off the curb, off the sidewalk, because I want downtown to be beautiful. I'm not going to go fill it entirely with signs that you're going to trip over, right? So when I was sitting in your seats, and Mayor Pro Tem Milne will remember this, we made a change specifically to revise the downtown zoning because we felt that it was too restrictive and negatively impacting businesses. We chose to do that over the Planning Commission and over staff because staff was not willing to see our approach of how you're trying to actually help the businesses and give them what they're looking for. So I would ask you to take a more thoughtful approach on this and talk to us, and actually instead of talking at us and trying to help at us for changes like this. We're easy to find. We're right there. No one talked to us. Fortunately, one of our business owners saw this was coming up in a workshop. No one saw the Planning Commission meetings, so none of us got a chance to say anything ahead of time because it was posted in the paper in one article. So, it's hard for us to feel like we're part of this when you're not talking to us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Yes, sir. You on the back?
Good evening. It's past my bedtime.
Please state your name and city.
My name is Mike Miller. I'm on the LBA advisory, and we're also in support of this amendment, and that's been provided. Mr. Maloney made up a good point here, and maybe you don't know me. I'm a former owner of Moon Security and have another business there at 507 West Clark. I've been involved with DPDA and previous to DPDA, and then now through the LBA support services. It's been over 30 years, and we have always, our family has been involved with downtown Pasco businesses. We want to make sure that from our standpoint, the city council is responsible for helping small businesses grow. That's the primary point, in my opinion, for these kind of issues here. And one of the things that happens is that, what are those things? I'll give an example. It took me several years to work through the process just to get the what do you call it, murals. You know, our business had the second mural that was put up. And we worked with the city of Pasco, and we worked with the Pasco School Department so we could have a scholarship made through so that students could win that. In the same way, it takes a while. And I understand the staging issues here, and probably in the scheme of things would support that fact that at some point in time you're going to want to look at other locations too and see if you need to have the ability to have signs in those locations. But I'm in support of this and want to continue to make sure that we are looking at what's possible to grow our businesses in downtown Pasco. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any comments opposed to this sign ordinance? Yes, come on up, Mr. Cortinas.
I'm not opposed to the downtown.
Name
We
and
have
city.
an amendment, okay?
Name and city, please, sir.
Yeah, Dave Cortinas, 403 West Lewis Latin Business Association. I'm here also, a letter was mailed to all of you on behalf of our Executive Director, Mike Gonzalez. And some of the pointers that he wanted me to share with you today is an amendment to the downtown ordinance. We also watched the Planning Commission. We agreed with the Planning Commission on bringing this signage opportunity for the businesses because it's really important that we're able to do that. But an amendment to this recommendation by the Planning Commission is to allow this to happen throughout the whole city. A lot of you are business owners. You would like to be able to put a sandwich sign board out in front of your business. Some of you are pastors. Some of you belong to churches. You would like to put a car wash sign out in your sidewalk when you're having a car wash out and about. So we agree with the recommendation by the Planning Commission downtown, but also make an amendment to the recommendation to go ahead and allow the entire city. I think you're going to open a can of worms by allowing just the downtown district. Of course, we're in support of the downtown district. We always have been. We haven't been talked to either. Ms. Matson has not contacted the Latin Business Association office. We rent from you, and we're inside the post office, so we'd appreciate it if we could be contacted and talked to and not at us. But we agreed with Ms. Matson. We think she did a good job at the Planning Commission in explaining the Planning Commission the importance of needing these signs, the importance that the businesses need to grow. But there's only one other thing that we think that's important is the sidewalks. The sidewalks, they're real skinny, and you put a sign there, it's an accident prone, okay? But if most of these sidewalks in the city of Pasco are very wide, okay? Those we agree also, those sandwich signs are allowed to be on there. And what Mr. Peral said about two signs, maybe you might want to put one out like on Court Street and then maybe one around the back where they're having their car washed behind the church or something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cortinas. So that was 3. I want to make sure we have equal time. That's really the thing. Is anyone want to speak in opposition of the sign ordinance? I want to give equal time first to anybody opposed to it. Is there anybody in the chamber that's opposed to it? If not, come on up. We'll take one more comment. It's 2 for, 2 and against. So we will take a 4th speaking. Come on up.
Good evening, Council and staff. Thomas Grandbois, Big Maple Properties, 108 North 4th Avenue. Sort of speaking against it as written, I think that it would take a little bit more work and discussion with businesses. And this is a workshop meeting after all, and that's the whole purpose of it. It's really disappointing to hear that city staff was put in a hard position by being weaponized against my tenants, when it's easy to just walk down the street and talk to business owners and say, hey, I see you have this, do you have a permit for it, or how can we make this happen? I think that weaponizing staff puts a real wedge between the staff and the business owners and the community at large. I've been involved in several code changes over the years, and it's probably more challenging than the average person knows, but it's not overwhelmingly challenging to do something like that. So I think that would be the appropriate action to take. Now, when it does come to my question about awning height, that was not meant for this particular item. It was just, hey, while we're talking about sign code, let's talk about this. So I'm completely fine with that. And I think that there is opportunity for middle ground to be found on requirements. I think that a building like Grace Collectives on the corner there, Third and Lewis, to have one sign is a little bit not adequate for that amount of space. So I think that with a little bit of workshopping, a little bit of outreach, this could have been handled a lot better. I think that like I said, there could have been a little bit more outreach. I didn't know about the planning commission meeting. I'm here every single Monday. I've been here every single Monday since before any of you have been here, and I think maybe two of you were here when I first started coming. So I think that outreach is very, very important, and that could be done by council or by staff, but I think that's the way that we should be taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gramboy. We will take one last comment. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Valerie Torres. I'm at 220 West Lewis Street. So I am part of the downtown businesses, just a little bit down on Lewis. I know I'm familiar with most of you guys, but I'm here to speak in support of it. I do agree that we need to change some of the wording in there, and if we could work together to make that happen, I think that'd be the best possible outcome. With these businesses and all these buildings being so old and grandfathered in, it's hard to put us all in one rule. For example, like Café Con Arte has a huge area. We have Grace Kitchen who's going to be opening. I think that should be up for collaboration for us to work together. And I know it does bring up the aspect of, is it going to be the signs of the wars and all of that stuff? But for example, I'm here speaking in support of it. Do I plan to put a sign out? Probably not. I have a driveway that does not allow me to put one. I have a utility pole that does not allow me to put one. But I am here in support of everybody else, and I think that we should work collaboratively as a team to make sure that we find a resolution. I know that it's not going to be one size fits all, as majority of the businesses are, for example, covered with the traffic, but if we were to able to come to an agreement to change things a little bit and open the signage up to 2, how she had mentioned, because right now it's listed as 1, I think that would be a great start. And of course, working together instead of against each other, I think would be a great start. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Council, what do you want to tell staff? What direction do you want to go with this? Councilmember Perales.
Well, I'm in favor of, I could make a decision on this tonight. I'm in favor of it. And if I could just really briefly, just address some of the comments. So yes, a complaint was made. It was to put things in motion. I did also bring up our PSK signs at the time, and I found it funny. I'm like, it's not on the books, but yet we have sandwich board signs. So, but again, I try to be brief up here with the discussion because I'm not going to divulge everything that we talk about in our one-on-one meetings. But the whole point was to change this. And again, I guess when I made the complaint and looked at the sign, I knew they weren't allowed, but I thought maybe a former council member also knew the rules, but apparently he didn't. So either way, I'm in favor of this. It needs to get changed. That was the whole impetus of the complaint, which really was a complaint. They went down there, and I believe they talked to the shop owner. I didn't say take them down, just whatever. But then when staff came back and said, we're going to work on it, perfect. A couple months went by. But that's probably not the best course of action is to, if something's against code, but then we tell staff don't worry about it, they were paying favorites, and I don't want to do that. So, but yeah, I just want to provide more clarity, and yeah, maybe we will do better. We will do better than other councils about letting downtown business owners know about stuff. and we'll put it back on our staff. But then, at the same time, they're busy. So just find a different way, whether it's using Facebook, whatever modes that you guys use, we will do that. My apologies that you guys didn't know about the planning commission meeting. I mean, I knew about it, but then again, I do pay attention to a lot of things that come out of our city hall. So I think we got to do better with communication, but we don't have to make a decision next week. If that's the case, we want to workshop this a little bit more, I'm fine with it, but I can make a decision tonight based on what the staff presented, and I thank them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Perales. Councilman Figueroa.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a few questions on what was the outreach plan put in motion for this. I do need point of clarification of the phases and the stages, because it seems that the underlying theme was that there was miscommunication or a lack of communication. And I think one of the things that, going back to kind of our vision for a thriving Pasco, is to ensure that our public knows, and we're being transparent and we're being open with communication, and we're giving them adequate time when meetings are taking place. So I don't know what the plan was, but I also, Mr. Chairman, do want to say that it shouldn't be right for a city council member up here on the dais to be making comments directed to the audience, regardless of their position. I think that we should be doing better. So I just want to address that to you to take as you please. So yeah, if I can hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Ms. Mattson looks like she's ready.
Yeah. Thank you, and the city manager's office can fill in if they'd like after I'm done. We didn't have an outreach plan for this. It was a very limited scope assignment. Hey, the code doesn't allow this, work on a change to allow sandwich boards. So we didn't go out. It wasn't, the project as it started wasn't a comprehensive global review of all the sign code regulations. In hindsight, we can look at ways to share information to the different groups. I always suggest to, and I don't know if Pasco has this, I should know this by now, being here almost a year, but what we did at a previous city was we just had a listserv that people were updated if they were interested in any code changes. Whenever we provided public notice, they would just get automatic emails. And so that works, but then when you get blasted with emails for different things, it's just hard, so we didn't reach out specifically to the downtown business owners for this. We don't do that for every code change, just because you end up missing a group when you don't notify, everybody, and then people come and complain. So that's why we have a code in place that says when you do these public hearings, you notice it in the paper, and there's a consistent way we do it for everything, so that if people are interested, yeah, it is more work on their end to log in and see what's going on and keep up with it. But it is also very difficult to assume, these people want to know about this. I think if there is a downtown theme, and I did email our deputy director about our special events code process, make sure you include this group on there, outreach. So when we do specific outreach, we do spend a little more time on it. But this one, looking back, I guess, yeah, it would be a good idea to include downtown. We just don't bake that into every code process that every department works on, is specific outreach to every group. So I'm open for feedback on that, and I'll definitely be getting direction from the city manager's office on these types of things moving forward to see, what Pasco needs and what is reasonable as far as how much staff time we're spending on trying to hit every single person that may be of interest. But I'm listening, taking notes, and I appreciate it. But to answer your question, there wasn't an outreach plan other than the requirements in code for noticing.
I appreciate that. And I'm not a small business owner. There's a lot of things that I could definitely know and learn about this topic, so I wouldn't be ready to make a decision for this aspect. But I think that it is important to kind of create that communication. I'm not coming at you or anybody here, but I think can't remember the last time I read a newspaper, right? So I might have missed that information. If that's the only sole purpose, I think we're moving on to a more digital aspect where social media is a big thing. I know that Fridays in Focus is a really kind of a big hit coming up, so maybe we could have added something there. But I think maybe we could look into expanding some of that aspect for communication purposes, because it's important to kind of, again, it should be a partnership, going back to building trust between residents and city council. I think that's important, and we want to be of good faith in that. So those are my comments, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. Before I get to you, Councilmember Perales, staff is going to be looking for direction for us to whether we want them to bring it back next week, and if there's any changes we want to make, or we want to continue talking about this further. So that's what we're going to really be looking for. Mr. Perales.
Yeah, I was just going to say, again, I can make a decision next week. I know about the listservs. I've talked about it before, development. I know it's difficult to do that. I mean, you can't make everyone happy. But that's something we can look into where people can opt in, kind of like they do with the agendas. So if there's a policy change, then they can get blasted, and maybe this ability to turn it off, turn it on, type of thing. I think that would be cool. I think that'd probably be a good way to engage with the downtown. So, but I don't want to put any more stuff on your guys' plate. We have a lot of stuff we got to accomplish this year. So if that can get changed, great. If not, then we can look into it the next year.
One more second, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager Stewart.
Yeah, if I may, I think this is one of the examples of no good deed goes unpunished. I mean, in essence, this was an effort by staff to try to loosen up restrictions to make it more friendly. And what I'm hearing is that there's disagreements with it. There's support for it, but there's disagreements that it's not opened up far enough, right? And that's kind of the crux. Look, staff isn't in a hurry to fix this. We tried to expedite this, which is why we didn't have a lot of the public input sessions, because again, we're trying to loosen up ordinance and make it a little bit less restrictive. We can slow this down and have as much public input as you want, but that means longer until the ordinance is actually put into place and in effect. So staff was trying to expedite this. We thought we were doing something positive for these downtown businesses, and I think they agree that we are doing that. But then the question becomes, is it open up enough? And oftentimes when we deal with these types of things, one of the first things that comes out is we get told a ton of examples of, well, this is how Kennewick does it. This is how Seattle does it. This is how what we're outlining in front of you today is consistent with how almost every other city's sandwich sign ordinance would be. Now we can debate and we can have the conversation about whether or not it should be opened up a little bit more. But this was an effort by staff to solve an issue that we saw that it was probably a little bit more restrictive than it needs to be in today's society. And so we're trying to open it up. At the same time, though, we don't want to open it too far. And so I'll give an example here. To be honest with you, I think there are some exceptions to the downtown because it's designed and built and laid out differently. You go down Highway 68, you have the shared cabinet signs out in front that shows the signs of all the tenants within that shopping center. Downtown doesn't benefit from that. You don't have the space to put up a sign like that. It's not even allowed by our city ordinances because you can't do it properly and safely in those situations. And so that does justify more leniency when it comes to the A-frame signs or the sandwich signs. That makes sense, but not necessarily everywhere. At the end of the day, like if we get to where Broadmoor is developed and those kinds of things, I don't really care if any business wants to put a sandwich sign in front of their business in front of their sidewalk. But there are areas here that you have to be careful, because if you go down 68, does the sidewalk that runs parallel to 68 300 feet out in front of those shopping centers, does that count as their sidewalk? And now we're going to have sandwich signs all the way down Road 68. And as people try to stop and read whatever that little sandwich sign says, excuse me, rear ends the car in front of them. These are safety issues. Now, if they want to put it on the sidewalk directly in front of them in the first 5 feet of their foundation of their building, I guess that doesn't matter to me. We can talk through some of these things, but the longer we spend talking about it, the longer you're going to enact the change in the policy. And I want more transparency. I want more dialogue with our citizens and our business owners, but communication is a two-way street. Most of us up here are putting in probably 60, 70 hours a week working. Most of us have been here since probably 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning. I've been here. I worked through lunch. I had a special meeting with council at 5:30, and I'm still here at 9 o'clock at night. Right? We're putting in our effort, and so people reading agendas and engaging and those kinds of things is an important aspect of being an engaged citizen and business owner within our community. And I find it a little bit unfair that staff gets thrown under the bus because we're trying to send out as much signals as we can. We're trying to do something positive, and it's not enough. And so at some point, there has to be participation on the other side. It's a great dialogue tonight. I appreciate the dialogue. We need this type of input. But again, this was started and intended to be a positive thing that we've begun to put a negative spin on it. And I'd like to try and keep it positive. Again, we can test this out, and we can come back in 3 months and we can evaluate what we like about it and what we don't. And if we need to make further changes and adaptations, that's great. But our sign ordinances also have to be legally defensible. And we can open it up, which is great. Let everybody do whatever they want until somebody puts up a sign that you don't want up, and we have nothing on the ordinances to go tell them you can't do that. So you gotta find a balance in there.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I appreciate the comments. City Manager Harold Stewart. I'm before this ordinance amendment, and yeah, again, maybe we wait 3 months and see where it goes, and see if some of the people that are in the downtown that are whether they're struggling or they're trying to get people into their business, maybe they have a chance for amendments, whatever. But I say we just push it through, so at least they have something, and again, go from there. So I'd be for this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Perales.
I'll make it really quick. No, I think this is a great pilot program to start, but honestly, I think it should just be in the downtown. The staff is doing enough. I was getting emails on Saturday from staff, so I mean, they're putting in the work. And again, this has been 90 days. I think that's pretty fast, in my opinion, with government, with all of the stuff that staff has been doing. Again, I think this is a great thing for the downtown. And also, honestly, too, I did read in a paper once that, there's people going around with ADA non-compliant areas across the cities and suing cities. And I've looked through this, and this is, it's not foolproof, I would say, but, we're doing our justice in regards to those indemnification clauses and stuff. So I think we're looking good, and that's the whole point. Just let's roll this out. Let's do 3 to 6 months, and then we can revisit it. But I think as is, I think it's great.
So I've got a couple looking that way, enough head nods to bring it back. Mr. Stewart, looks like for next week, as at least as far as a pilot program like you're suggesting, and go forward from there. Anything else? Okay. Let's move on to letter D, Resolution Professional Services Agreement with Columbia Meter Reading Incorporated for City Meter Reading Service. And this, Mr. Hebden. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and bring to your attention a contract for professional services with Columbia Meter Reading. They have served our city, and it's over or nearly 24,000 water meters for the last 24 plus years. And that contract was a 5-year contract and is needing to be renewed. And the fiscal impact on this contract renewal is about $610,000 annually, and that's estimated for the 2026 period. It does exceed what we've allocated for that contract by just about $50,000 to $60,000 by our estimates, and we'll be working to see where we can resolve that within the confines of our budgets. But back to Columbia Meter Reading and the services that they've provided, we always look to see what other options are there out there for meter reading services. It's hard to be reaching out. It's hard to get other people to respond to this service, and his knowledge of the meter locations and his ability to serve our city and our citizens to get accurate readings for quick reading, quick billing, and keep our citizens water flowing. And so he's got a great knowledge of, him and his team have a great knowledge, and to bring someone in from outside our area is quite a steep learning curve. I did mention that this was a 5-year contract that has expired or that needs to be renewed. We are proposing for next week to take action. The proposal is on a 3-year contract with 2 additional 1-year extensions, and that is for the purpose of giving us the opportunity, should we start to move to something different, like automated meters, to be more efficient, to modernize our systems, and things of that nature. So tonight it's just a discussion item for you, and next week we'll be bringing the full contract and seeking approval from you as city council for the city manager to execute that contract with Columbia Meter Reading.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hebden? Okay, anybody in the audience want to speak on this meter reading service by Columbia Meter Reading Incorporated? Either for or against, going once, going twice, We will move on to letter E, not seeing anybody come forward. This is a resolution for a sole source purchase of 3 valley pivots for the processed water reuse facility irrigation system farm upgrades project. And this is Director Sarah. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. We are bringing to you back this sole source. You have already seen the sole source in November of last year. And there were a few changes to that sole source, including a change in price, a correction to the previous estimate, and part of why this didn't get ordered had to do with the ability of our supplier to hold the equipment until it was time to be installed. They did not have that ability, so we couldn't put in the order prior to our fields being ready to receive this equipment. As you know, circles are massive, so we did not have the place to hold that, nor did they. So at this time, we're bringing back this sole source that serves our PWRF land disposal system with the updated cost. This is a not to exceed $620,000, and that number includes a little bit of contingency, which would only be used should installation become an issue, whether it is for electrical or mechanical connections that need adjustment. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we plan to bring it forward next week. Thank you.
Any questions for Director Sarah? Seeing none, looking at the audience, anybody want to speak for or against the subject of 3 Valley Center pivots for our processed water reuse facility system? Going once, going twice, seeing no one coming forward, we will move on to number 6, miscellaneous council discussion. Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments. I don't have a whole lot today, but just a reminder that with previous action of the council on the change of water and sewer rates, that those go into effect March 1st. So just a forewarning, and staff is trying to be proactive in communicating this out. I know that I've seen a couple of emails to my personal email because I have a water sewer bill with the city, trying to communicate that out. So we're trying not to surprise the public with the change, but that change is coming, and I just want to state it here at a public meeting as well. Again, along with that, we did have a period of time that we were not shutting off accounts for lack of payment. That has also resumed again. We've been through enough billing cycles at this point that we feel that most everyone has probably fixed the issues and reset up their online bill payment and those kinds of things with the banks and the transitions. But the shutoffs are resuming for lack of non-payment as well, just as a public knowledge there going forward. And with that, I don't have anything else to report to council this evening.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anybody else have anything to discuss? Councilmember Perales.
I think I've said enough tonight, but I just want to piggyback on what City Manager Harold was saying. I had a couple of individuals from my district complain about some of the shut-off stuff, but staff jumped on it right away and got them all addressed. And so I want to let you know that they really appreciate you guys doing that and reached out personally. So thank you guys.
Okay, not seeing anything else. I don't see anything listed under executive session tonight. So we will move to number 8, which is adjournment, and we are adjourned at 8:59.